Hello everyone, my name is Dave Partner. In this tutorial, we'll continue where we stopped on variable scopes. Remember, we briefly treated functions in the past tutorial, and in this tutorial, we'll cover some topics on variable scopes because it was necessary to understand functions before we can actually use variables. Okay, so the first thing we're going to check out is global variables and local variables, and then we will also check out other things about other topics right under variables, where we have hosting, we have scope chain, and we have closure. All right, so that we can completely exhaust this topic, or at least get it to an extent where you will feel more comfortable with it. Okay, so the thing we're going to do is to let's declare a function and say function local government. I'm just trying to use examples that will be easy for you to understand. Let's create another function that we call federal government. I'm just trying to use the governments to show you. So we have, okay, let's just say that this is state government and federal government. From what I taught you in functions in the other tutorial, in the past tutorial, you know that whatever we put here won't run until we actually call state government. Until we call the function, it won't run. So let's declare a variable at the top of this place. Any variable you declare here is will be accessible by all these functions below it. So if we declare a variable and say allocation, say $20,000, that's the allocation. If we come here and say document.write, and say print allocation, I'm just going to concatenate. I've taught you concatenating before. I'm just going to concatenate a text and say local government, state government, government. All right, and if I print here to somewhere in the federal government and I say allocation federal, and of course we have to actually call the federal government for it to work, so I'll call federal government here. So these functions this guy and this guy won't run until we call this guy. Okay, and so I've saved it. We'll go to our browser and refresh. We have local government. Okay, we have state government. Let me put a line break here. What if we come here and say there's a line break? If you've studied the HTML, which you should before this video, you understand what a line break is, so that it will come to the next line. I'll refresh. So we have $20,000 state government, $20,000 federal government. The reason is that this variable is declared outside these two and above them. So let's just organize this. What if we take this guy and put here and bring these two guys down here? So we are calling functions we've not declared, then we declare them underneath. Like we saw in the last tutorial, it should still run perfectly. So we'll go outside and refresh. As you can see, it's still running perfectly. We still have access to this variable. The reason is that this is where this function actually runs. So, but what if we take these two and put them above the declaration of this function? Guess what will happen? When we're here, we refresh. Undefined, because Javascript does something that's called hosting, which we'll get to. Like I told you in the beginning of this tutorial, we'll get to variable hosting. But as you can see, this variable that is declared below this function is not available to the function. That's why we're having undefined. Okay, and but once it's above, it's available to the two of them. So how do we declare a local variable. So when we come inside here and we want to declare a local variable means that the variable is accessible only within this function. So if we want to declare a variable and call it var gender, we'll say that the gender is male. And okay, so if we come here and print gender, we can say gender. Okay, we can just say gender and gender. Alright, so we just put gender in this guy in the state government. What if we take it up and put it in the federal government tool and say federal, gender federal, gender federal. Alright, so what we have, I've taught you about comments, so you should know what comments are. Gender state, state function and federal function. Okay, so what this is doing is we declared a variable only here, a local variable. The variable is local if you're using the var keyword. So we declared a local variable here, and we try to access it right inside the same function. It should print gender, it should print male as gender state government. But then we also try to access it inside the federal government, that is inside a function it was not declared in, and the function is not nested. You know what is a nested function? You said that a function is nested when the function is inside another function. So this guy, state government, is a nested function, and the federal government is nested inside the state government. This is nested, but then if it's outside, it's not nested. Okay. So since it's not nested, this guy shouldn't have access to the gender that we declared. So let's test it out. So we come to our browser. Okay, we come to our browser. Remember that these guys will call it. So we come to our browser, and guess what? We try to refresh. We have $20,000. We have male. We have $20,000. We have federal, but nothing prints here. See what we mean here. Compare the two. We have allocation. We're printing allocation that is 20,000. And which one did we call first? We called state government first. Okay, so we're printing allocation. That's $20,000 state, because this allocation variable is available here. And then we're printing gender male, because this gender is available to state government. Then we call federal government, which we declared here. We print allocation, which is available, which is $20,000. But when we wanted to print male, it ran into an error and it didn't print. But let's try and view this through our console and see whether there was an error. We'll right click and inspect, and mine pulls up by the right. I will adjust it to start working with the left. I will just click this. This is for mobile. I'll unclick it so that it doesn't display for mobile. I'll click here and say console, and all of a sudden we have this error, but then I'll still adjust it. I'll click here and say display at the bottom, so it starts displaying the console at the bottom, and so we can have it in one screen now. Alright, so we have an error. It's telling us gender is not defined. That is why it's not printing the last thing we expected to print, because it doesn't have access to gender. Alright, okay, so gender is a local variable. Another way to declare a local variable is to pass it in here and say gender, and I'll cut off this. So gender, we're passing it here. So when we call state government, right here we can just say that gender is male. So now we have a male gender here. We passed in this as a value I taught in the past tutorial, and here the parameter is gender, and it's using this same variable. So if we come back here and refresh, we have the same thing because it still works perfectly. That's a local variable, but we still have the same error because gender is not accessible to the federal government. So far so great. What if we let's try some create some other crazy more manipulations to show you how JavaScript really works. What we can try right now is let us try and declare. We already have a global declaration of allocation, and that is available to these two guys. That is, the scope is available to these two guys. And then what if we wanted to declare the allocation as a local variable here again? What if we said we change the allocation to male? Let's see what happens. And we are printing allocation locally here. You see, what will it print? Which allocation will it print? As you can see, we've declared the allocation twice. We declared it locally inside state government, and we declared it globally inside and let me say, not just globally, we declared it on another higher scope as $20,000, and we're declaring it as male here, and we are printing. Which of them will it print, this or this? Can you guess? All right, let me just show you. We'll come and refresh, and it prints male. It prints this local one because that is the one you just declared above it. So how do you gain access to the allocation that you declared outside? You use the this keyword. You say this means you should go outside and look for the declaration of allocation that you're not referring to the local one. Okay, so we refresh and we get back at $20,000, and that's a lot of money. I would like if you could give me some $20,000. All right, so here is the secret. If you want to declare a global variable, and if you want to gain access to a global variable, there are ways to do that. If you want to declare a global variable, you don't use the var keyword, you just declare it the way it is, global. And if you want to gain access to it here, let's say we refresh, and we are getting access to the male, local variable. If you want to gain access to this global variable, you say window dot allocation, so it gains access to this guy here. So we say refresh. That is it. Okay, so any variable you declared as global and you want to gain access to it, you just use window. Is a surer way to gain access to it. Okay, and in the next tutorial we'll look at closures, then we'll look at hosting. Okay, and then we'll round up variable scopes, and we'll continue with the further tutorials on JavaScript. Okay, so I hope you're enjoying this tutorial so far. Like I told you, we won't be designing a site, but I'll be showing you the different components of JavaScript so that you'll be a really good pro in JavaScript. Okay, so thank you. See you in the next tutorial, and do not forget to like and subscribe. And if you have any question, post them on davepartner.com. all right, and then other tech keys will be there to help you out. See you. Thanks.